Okay, let's get started. And welcome to this event, which should finish at 2:30. The intention is to make it a social and relaxed chat, but based around the book Invisible Women. And can I just ask if you can, whatever way is most convenient for you. Welcome, Catherine and Sonia. I didn't see you on the list. I didn't see you arriving. Welcome. How many of you have actually read Invisible Women? Maybe if you can just put a note in the chat to say whether you've read the book, and that will help with thinking about how we manage the next bit. So if you wouldn't mind putting a note in the chat while we're waiting. But in the meantime, I'm just going to give a brief introduction to what how I'm hoping to organize the hour, or 55 minutes now. So we will start with breakout discussions around the book. And if most people haven't read the book, then we have other questions to talk about around the issues in the book. We will then return to plenary for a short group chat on how things went, and then back to breakouts again for action questions around the issues raised in the book, or carrying on your previous discussion if you prefer. If in your group, one of the reasons it says self-managed discussion is that you might prefer not to talk about the issues raised in the book or other aspects of the book and just catch up on other things, and that's up to you. You've got some prompts if you choose to follow them, and not if you don't. And then we'll return to plenary, have a quick chat, and then close the session. So before I go on with introducing the breakout sessions in the book, just to say, for those of you who haven't been to Women in OR and Analytics online events before, they are open to everybody. We do tend to get more women than men coming, and I think we're all women at the moment today, but they're open to everybody because women's issues are everybody's issues. And what we aim to do is to have a bit of conversation, a bit of learning, an opportunity to share ideas, an opportunity to meet other people and network. And we also hope that they're going to be enjoyable and fun. We've got two coming up, which are not standard meetings. So in the afternoon of the first day of the annual OR conference in Warwick in September, we are organising a debate on the subject of gender quotas. Is it time? And then on October the 11th at 4 p.m. is our annual lecture, our main annual event, which we are now naming after we've had permission to name it after Elsa Land, who is a pioneer of branch and bound and many other aspects of OR, and a leading light at the London School of Economics, and one of the first women to be such a leading light, and also the first woman to win the OR Society's Beale Medal for outstanding contributions to OR. And that will be actually a fireside chat with Professor Carol Mundell, being chatted to hopefully by Sally Brailsford. And that will include an opportunity for questions and networking afterwards. So that's what we've got coming up. So do put those in your diary. Then coming back to the program. So for those who haven't read the book, I'll say just heard it, or heard of it, I guess, but not read it. So I'll just say, let me stop sharing for a moment, and I'll say something about it. It's a book about data bias, it says, in a world designed for men. And it goes through a whole number of different areas of public life and private life, looking at areas where the absence of gender split data or the failure to use data where it is available lead to a world that is not designed for women. And one of the things she says in the preface is that there are three main themes which are associated with a world that delineate women from men and mean it is really important to take women's needs into account. One is simply that women's bodies are different in all sorts of different ways. Women's bodies are different. One is that many women, or most women, have a huge unpaid care burden, which is largely invisible as well in the public sphere. And the third is basically sexual harassment and assault, male violence or against women. And these are sets of experiences which are just in the various ways recounted in the book are issues that if the data we have were sex disaggregated, or if where there is no data it were collected, or if it was paid attention to, then the outcomes would be different and we would see different designs in the world. So I'm going to just go back to sharing. As far as I can tell from the chat, is that right? I am the only person who's read this book. Sonia, sorry, Ruth's read it. Sorry,
yeah, I was going to say,
yeah, and Sonia's read it,
but a long time ago, so I'm very hazy on the details.
Well, I have read it for the second time in order to get my questions going for this session. So, and Ruth read it a couple of years ago as well, so perhaps also a bit behindhand. So you might prefer, and perhaps I'll go back to sharing the screen and show you the two sets of questions that I've put together. And I can put into the chat also the slide, a link to the slide pack, so that you can see these yourself, and you don't have to copy the screen. But the questions that we have for those who have read the book, or anything that you remember from the book, were these. So bits of Invisible Women that resonated most, and for Sonia and Ruth, these might be the bits that you remember 2 years on, if there are any bits, or any surprises or any effects that you think the book has had on your behavior, any things that you challenged, and just building on different things in the book. For everybody else, or for also potentially for Sonia, Ruth, people who have read the book, is that these are some of the issues that are picked up. Fear of assault and harassment in public spaces. So that bit where you don't go down subways at night, or you maybe don't go to certain areas of a public park on your own. Those sorts of aspects. Finding technology difficult to use, which I put breast pumps in there because I don't know what modern breast pumps are like, but 30 years ago, they were dreadful. And that's partly an issue of where investors want to put their money. Toilet provision, we're familiar with. Medicines that don't work, unpaid work, being interrupted more than you interrupt, which is more of a question of people failing to collect the data that might be there. These are the sorts, this is a long list of some of the issues which are perhaps worth discussing, whether these are issues for modern women, and we're not all in the same country. So I think probably most of you who are here at the moment, I can't see everybody who's here. I think most of you who are here at the moment are based in the UK, but you're not all from the UK. And of course, Horn is in Cambodia. So it will be potentially different. So those are the two discussion questions for the groups. So having said, I don't need to keep them up because you should be able to get hold of them yourself. So I'm just going to stop sharing and I'll just check. What I've been suggesting we do is divide it. So there are, Kerry won't be joining us in the breakout groups. But it seems 7 is quite a large number. I think perhaps we could try going into two groups of 4 and 3 to talk about those. But can I just check if you are happy with doing it that way, or if you'd rather approach things in a different way? And you might have to take your mics off for this and be able to turn your camera on. I know Jennifer said you won't be able to put your camera on, but you should be able to join.
That's all. I'm happy to break out.
Okay. Everybody else? I have no. Yeah, and Ruth says she's fine. Okay. So, Kerry, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here. I'll do the breakout room for you here.
Thank you very much. We're going in at random.
All right.
So, but what I should say is Jennifer, I think there's 3 of them at Jennifer's end. Is that right, Jennifer?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you should be in the group that has just another 2 people and then 4 people. So if Kerry can fiddle a little bit with the groups, okay. Thank you.
Not worries. All right.
So that introduction took me a lot longer than I was planning. But if we maybe spend till about 2:05, seeing how that goes, seeing how the conversation goes. And are you okay with access to the slides? Everybody okay with access to the 2 sets of questions?
Yeah, all fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll assign them for you now.
Thanks, Kerry. How are things going, Sonia? Are you at home or at work?
I'm at home actually. I've been in work this morning. I've just come home.
And is the baby there?
No, I'm working now. But
oh,
yeah,
I see. It's still counting as work.
Yeah, it's still work. Yeah.
Right.
Picking her up later on.
Ready now, Ruth, to put you in.
Thank you. And just to say, do introduce yourselves first before launching into the questions, of course.
So you've been invited to the breakout rooms. You just need to join.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. We've lost. I can tell you that we've lost Sonia because she had to go, and it looks as if we have lost somebody else. So we've still got Horn.
Catherine? Yeah, in my group we lost Catherine. I think she has some
was having comms troubles
with the system. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame. So. And I also realized that all the people who'd actually read the book, even though it was a long time ago, were in the same group as me. And but Horn and the team at Jennifer's end, did you find plenty to discuss?
Yeah, I think we had loads of things to discuss. Yeah, it was based around sort of your main points, I think, in your PowerPoint, and then we tried to. I think we highlighted all sort of the things that we might have found personally. You know, that's different between men and women, and the sort of potential gap there. But then we also at the end brought it back to how can we sort of or as a society maybe mitigate against it, and it was just coming back to the point that was made in the book about more of a balance in the sort of maybe more senior roles, and maybe the advertising of certain posts like train drivers, bus drivers, we visualize men. Is that because of advertising and advertising it sort of that way? So we had a real good discussion about sort of around those points.
Ah, that's great. Ruth or Seda, do you want to say what we particularly picked up?
Yeah, we were talking about a few specific examples from the book about things which actually impair people's health, where PPE not fitting, or phones designed for the wrong size, or piano keys being wrong, and also the sort of infrastructure elements that you might not even think of. So one of the examples in the book is about the way that snowplows prioritize whether to start with roads or pavements, and kind of routes into cities or sort of local journeys, and yeah, it's the kind of thing that you just may not even think there's another way of actually doing things. So yeah, part of it might be representation of, if more women are sort of in those committees or helping to make those decisions, but part of it is just a different perspective and sort of understanding there are different ways that things could be done. Yeah, we were just talking about how the book makes you very, very angry. I think we all sort of wanted to go around and tell everyone to read it, but yeah, I think specific actions, there are a few things we were thinking of, but yeah, it'd be really good actually the rest of this session if there are any specific actions people can think of to kind of take away.
Well, Seda, do you want to add anything to that? Or Horn, do you want to add anything to what Jennifer said?
No, I think she covered everything.
Okay. Seda, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I don't have any other points. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let me just bring up the other set of questions. It seems to me, given that we are now quite small groups, it might be better just to keep in plenary for the next part. But I'll show you the questions that I had, which you may have already seen, of course, if you've skipped on through the presentation. But it was so actions. So we could either pick up on some of these, or if you prefer, we could kind of keep going with some of the issues that came out of the discussions that people have already been having. So I'm just going to throw it open so I don't end up doing all of the talking. I should throw it open and invite others. And actually, you can probably, given there's so few of us, you can probably mostly keep your mics on, if you like, so that you can leap in. Seda, probably not, because you've got an awful lot of background noise. But so it's great to hear from you, but not when you're not speaking. But others might just like to keep their mics off so that we can make it a bit of a more natural discussion. And for that purpose, I'm going to stop screen sharing so it's easier to see each other on the screen, and hope that you can see these slides just by looking at the PowerPoint that I circulated. So if anybody just would like to comment on what we should be or could be doing on some of these issues.
Hi, it's Grace here. I thought I'd just bring up a point about what was discussed in our sort of meeting room, and it was more about sort of when people are going for a career progression or a promotion. Sometimes I think there's a statistic out there that men are more likely to go for a job if they don't have, I think they have like more than 50% or something of the criterias, and then women will go if they've like ticked off 80%. I've just made those statistics up to get that
Yeah.
example there, but I wonder if it's more because men might be in some cases a bit more extroverted, and then even though I'm a very extrovert woman, but I don't think I'm as extroverted and so was my extroverted male friends, and I wonder if that's because they put out quite a lot of confidence in their sort of abilities, they're more likely to get that job. So I was wondering in sort of actions on sort of applying for jobs, but also on the interview panel, to take more of a consideration into an extroverted person and an introverted person for that job role. I'll just leave it out for everyone to discuss, but that was just my sort of thought.
Are you thinking there as a candidate, Jennifer, or as a selector? And who would your message be, to the selectors or to the candidates?
I think it would be towards the selector, whoever's you know, on that board, what's it called, the interviewer or the selection panel, to probably have in their mind about differences between maybe extroverted and introverted people. I know some companies are really good at doing that, but I think other companies maybe not. And it's that confidence, because I admittedly I've failed quite a few interviews because I've been super nervous, and maybe that's just me as a person, and I'm only 100% confident when I've you know, researched everything and, you know, 100% of the information. But more maybe extroverted, more confident males perhaps might do a bit more of a good bluff almost. So I think maybe it's on the interview panel to take the considerations of different people. I don't know, I don't really know what to, or different personality type into consideration.
Great.
Sorry, it's Kelly here. I'm aware we're speaking from the same computer.
Get Jennifer to put Jennifer, Grace and Kelly as her name, and then we can...
You can just refer to us all as Jenny, it's fine. It might just seem like we're talking to ourselves. Just building on what Grace said, I do wonder whether the fact that perceived lack of confidence, or because even though like women might be just as extroverted as men, the fact that we're sort of taught that confidence in women is often perceived as a negative thing, so saying that we're bossy instead of just confident, which you might say in a man. So the difference in wording might discourage women from being as confident or as forward in things like going for job interviews. And I don't know whether that I think that contributes to that.
There is a lot in the book. There's a whole chapter, or not quite a chapter, on the different way that women who put themselves forward are seen compared with men who put themselves forward. And some of it is about Hillary Clinton and her experiences, and that she was accused of presenting herself as if she was entitled to the presidency because she was a woman, and she didn't. The statistics quoted in the book show the number of times she spoke about policy issues compared with the number of times she spoke about gender issues, like about 800 to 1. But yet she still got accused of expecting people to vote for her because she was a woman. And then there is a lot also just about women, which comes back to what you were saying, Kelly, about women, the words used to describe women who put themselves forward as being bossy and stubborn, when in men it's, you know, taking leadership and so on. There is a section on that.
I'm sure that probably comes across in interviews as well, like the whole thing about, you know, saying I rather than we. I guess, you know, I probably work quite collaborative, and I find that really, really hard when I'm in an interview to not sort of talk about, you know, collective work areas and, you know, decisions made as a group and everything like that. I do wonder if there's a bit of a sort of gender bias in how people use language like that.
Yeah. And there's also a bit about women being the more interrupted gender. So if you've ever been interrupted at an interview or in a significant conversation, I'm terrible because I do a lot of interrupting as well, but it's quite possible that I don't do as much interrupting as I imagine I do compared with men. I haven't actually done the count, but yeah. So
I mean, that's sorry, interrupting.
No, go on. Absolutely. Conversation involves interruption, doesn't it?
But no, I mean, I do think like COVID and working at home, like in some ways that probably has changed the sort of gender balance a bit. You know, in terms of interruption, I find meetings a lot better when it's on Teams, is what we use, because you can just put your hand up if you've got a question. And I find that like quieter people in the group are much more likely to sort of participate if they know that they don't actually have to find the right moment to interrupt. They can either just write it in the chat while it's in their head, or they can put their hands up. But in general as well, I do wonder, like, you know, the kind of increased ability of people to work from home, like maybe kind of suits people with caring responsibilities, you know, so much more. I do kind of worry, like the sort of rush to go back to the office, maybe sort of losing some of those kind of opportunities. And also for disabilities, like my dad's got mobility issues, and you know, he loved that for a while when you could watch kind of all the best theatre in the country, you could just sit and have access to all of that without even leaving the house. And it seems a real shame that some of those things sort of appeared. It was perfectly possible to do those things in a different way that kind of works for other people, and we may be sort of trying to roll it all back now, rather than kind of keep the best aspects of that.
That's really interesting, because there are a lot of people that I hear saying it'd be just really nice to go and meet in person again. Much better meeting in person. You get so much of a different experience meeting in person. And I don't have that data gender disaggregated, but there may be a difference. You're right, because I do like meeting in person, but I have enjoyed Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, like you say.
I think one-to-ones in person are really good, but there's some element of group meetings that can work better. You know, in Bays we used to have coffee and coding, that if you weren't in the first 20 people who arrived, you just couldn't hear anything and you couldn't see anything. And now they regularly have like 150 attendees who all hear and see perfectly, and all can participate way more than they ever did before. So some things I do think work way better.
Horn, what's it like in Cambodia? Are these issues that resonate with you as well? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm just like finished my study in Japan, and I just like come back and fresh graduating, looking for work. So I'm not really like in the country for quite a while. So I'm not really familiar with the environment here yet, like adapt myself. But yeah, I agree on Ruth pointing out that we have online the online make us like more put us like more forward to have ourselves here heard. So yeah, I agree on that. Yes.
Great. One of the questions that I put in there as an action question was the brilliance bias question, which I think perhaps again, Grace, is a bit of a reflection of the different way that men and women are seen when they're doing exactly the same thing. But there is, I've got to find where there was all the stuff about brilliance bias from my notes, but the idea that, and this is something that's supposed to be visible in academia as well, the idea that if you are a perfectly normal person who just presents as being interested in other people and having conversations and allowing other people their space, you're less likely to be seen as brilliant than if you are somebody who's just totally caught up in their own ideas about things and pushing your view. And it's a lot easier to be seen as brilliant if you're a bloke, and in a woman that's seen as uncaring and unteamy. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that kind of experience, and whether there's anything, is it something we do ourselves?
No, I kind of find the opposite, actually. I think I'm quite an emotional person, quite a sentimental person, and I think often it's mistaken for weakness. And I think that as someone who is more in touch with their emotions, I can go and have a cry about something and I'll come back like 10 minutes later and I'll be absolutely fine. but that's just my way of processing, stressful situations. Doesn't mean that I'm weak, doesn't mean that I can't cope. It's just my way of, organizing my thoughts is just taking a breather and having a little cry.
Sorry, Grace here as well, just to add on about the whole the brilliance sort of aspect to it. So we here in our company, we have a split really between being a generalist or a specialist. Now it's really interesting because I think we would probably imagine more brilliance involved with a specialist. Rather that generalist role who has a base understanding, who reaches out, who talks and chats to other people. So I really think it's a bit of a mixture. I think it's just interesting, the topic that you brought up.
Anyone else want to comment? I think we're probably drawing to a close, so we've only got a few minutes left. So if there is anything else that you want to bring out, this is the chance to make the point. Or there's a whole variety of different topics here. Anyone want to make a last?
Yeah, just Kelly here. Sort of going back to when we were talking about being interrupted and women being interrupted more than men. In a similar vein, we were discussing in our group before how often, as a woman, you might say an idea and it sort of be passed over, and then a couple of minutes later, a man will say exactly the same thing, and everyone will cheer and raise them around the room on their shoulders, essentially. And I think that's quite a common experience. I'll be honest, this is more just a complaint than anything else, but it was just a common experience with everyone else.
Well, it is an experience that we've had at different sessions of WORAN have discussed this before. And one of the things that you really need to get senior allies on your side and challenge senior allies to come out in a meeting and say, when they hear something twice, is to say, thank you for repeating Grace's point. Thank you for, but if not, it's much harder for you to say it, but you could say, thank you for reinforcing my point. But it is very difficult for you to do personally. What you need is other people in the meeting to be ready to pick you up. And what that might mean is actually having a discussion outside, making a note of it. And every time you make a note of it, it feels really petty and just one small thing. But you just need to make a note of a couple and then raise it with a manager and say, you know, I would welcome some support here. But it's a really well-known phenomenon. If you're still feeling it, as I'm guessing that you're relatively new career, I don't know, if you're still feeling it in modern times, then it really is something you should chase up.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And what you said about it, some of the little things adding up, we also mentioned in our group earlier, how you're not really sure when to make a fuss. For a better word, it's like, at what point does it cross the line? And that's we were talking about it in terms of harassment at work, and whether, because there are occasions it's less overt comments these days, but occasionally you'll get like little ones that it's like, oh, does that cross the line? Do I need to say something? And I think figuring out where that line is and at what point it's not just you overreacting, because often I feel like it can feel like you're overreacting, but if you're uncomfortable, it's not.
Go back and look at the video on the YouTube playlist. We had a session earlier this year on dealing with bullying and harassment at work.
Okay.
And it was a very nice session because it gave you lots of different ways that you can see it, and it did say you can choose not to address bullying and harassment or little things like that until you're ready. So you don't have to feel you need to address them straight away, but here are some ways that you can address them when you're ready. And it was like, I found it really nice because it gave you permission because you feel sometimes you let the side down if you let things pass, and you feel really angry afterwards. And it kind of gave you permission to let it pass for a while until you feel it's the right time. But keep aware.
Yeah.
I'm given I promised we'd finish at 2:30. I'm going to just bring up the final slides, and so I'm just going to share my screen again if I can find. Sorry. Is that? Oh, I've got the wrong screen. Sorry. Let me just. Sorry about this. And just to go with the closing, whoops. The closing slideshow, the closing slide rather, which is, if you're not a member of Women in OR Analytics, do sign up, because then you should get the keep up to date with what's happening. We are looking for new committee members, so we've got a very large committee of about 15 people, I think, which includes myself and Seda and Sonia, who was here earlier. But a lot of people are also juggling a lot of other things, so we could always use more help. There is a feedback form. You can't copy that off the screen, but if you've got the slides that you've copied down the slides, then you'll be able to copy it from the slides. And that'd be really helpful to know whether we should try and do other book group sessions, book discussion sessions, and any suggestions for books and any better ways that we can run them. And then just a reminder to all that it'd be great if you're coming to the annual OR conference, because we'll be running an event there. But if not, do put in the 11th of October. That's also Ada Lovelace Day, which is a day for celebrating women's achievements in science, technology and engineering and maths. And Carol Mundell is a really interesting person, partly because of the work she's done as an outstanding astronomer, but also because of the whistleblowing that she's done for on sexual harassment at work, which led her into being accused of libel, and other things that she's done for women's equality. So I'd like to also say thank you to Kerry. I'd like to say thank you enormously to all of you for coming. Seda, did you want to chat about getting something about this into Inside OR? And maybe we'll have a quick word after.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And if there's anything anybody else wants to say last minute, but otherwise, thank you very much for coming and hope to see you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion.
Oh, that's great. It was great to meet you. Thank you for coming. Thanks to your boss for suggesting it.
Thank you. Hope to see you for the next event.
Yeah. Great. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I would you be able to write up something, Seda? Because it seemed to me that because I've read the book relatively recently, I could do you a little bit about the book, and you could fold that into saying something about the discussion and where we go next. Maybe mentioning the podcasts.
Sorry, I don't want to bother you too much about the noise. I'm aware of it, and I will keep it quite short, hopefully.
No, the noise has gone a bit.
Oh, okay, glad to hear it. I'm happy to write about it. I was actually planning to ask you whether would it be okay if I take more days and maybe read the book, so it will be more interesting. But we have, I guess it will be then the other month that I can prepare it, because we need to give it in until the 1st, right? 1st of August.
Yeah, but it could wait till the 1st of September, whichever you prefer.
Well, I mean, I'm happy also, like, if you provide these links from the book, it's also good for me. Both is fine.
Right.
But maybe it would be more interesting to read the book and get something out of it, but I'm still happy to write it together.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll send you something, but do read the book. It's a great book. And Kerry, thank you very much for supporting this. You should read the book as well. It's an amazing read. I mean, it is a bit long. That's the only thing.
Definitely. No, I actually needed a new book as well. So I needed a new book. I was just looking at it last night.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like the book discussion thing. I hope we can do it more often. I mean, that would be nice.
Oh well, that's good. That's really useful feedback. But we'll see if anybody else fills in the feedback form or what they say.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. But I will be in touch with you about what to write and etc. Like maybe via email if it is okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you, Kerry. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Take care. Have a lovely afternoon all. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.